Vintage toys from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. There's nothing better. Welcome back to another video. This really popped when I saw it. That to me is a monster increase. Again, this book got hot. This book is ready to go higher. So let's jump right into it. We are back today with another statue review from Diamond Select Toys. Without further ado, let's get into the review. Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Lawrence, over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles, and get ready for another vintage toy hunt here on eBay. But before we get into the video, I remind you guys, if you're not a current sub of the channel, do yourself a favor, hit that sub button. You will not regret it. Do me the favor, hit that like button for me. It really does help the channel out. And if you love comics, vintage toys, and everything collectible, you're in the right place. Now let's check out what I found on eBay this week. So last week we covered Transformers, Motu, and of course Thundercats. This week we're going to start off with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and here we have a 1990 Casey Jones 19-back unpunched mint on card. Now this one sold on May 1st for only $168 right now at the list price. Now normally I would think that these would sell for a lot higher prices, so I'm not sure why this one went for such a good deal, but it's a good thing we have Action Figure 411 to kind of give us some help regarding these vintage toys. So we're going to check out Casey Jones and the price history graph. You can see back in September of 2022, this one sold for only $162. Basically what this one just sold for right here, right now. We're going to go all the way to the middle of 2023 and see we had a high sale of $278. A couple of months after that, a crazy high $370. And just recently, April of this month, a $120 sale. I can safely assume that some of the high prices that we got over the past couple of years are probably graded action figures. So with that said, we're going to cover a few of them here today. So next up, we have a TMNT Michelangelo AFA. So if you don't know what AFA stands for, it's a company that grades vintage carded toys. It stands for Action Figure Authority. They have this one graded at an 80 from 1988, a 10-back. Now this one sold again on May 1st for $389. Now that seems like a pretty good deal considering you could have bought these off the shelf back in 1988 for $3.69 according to that price sticker on the top right hand corner. But let's see what Action Figure 411 says. We're going to go all the way back to September of 2022 to see a sale of only $149. In May of 2023 we had a high sale of $250. More recently, just this month, we had a $162 sale, but this one blows them all out of the water for $389. I can just assume that it's because it's an AFA graded 80 action figure that it sold for so much. So we're going to end our Turtles portion of this video with a TMNT 1988 Donatello unpunched 10-back Playmates action figure mint on card. Now this again sold on May 1st for $178 right at the ask. Now as we check out the Action Figure 411, you can see that we had a sale just this month for $151. We have to go all the way back to December of 2023 to get the high sale over that time period of only $208. Our next highest sale was in March of 2023 for $197, and way back in September of 2022 we had a $134 sale, and that's where the price data begins for a Donatello mint on card. I will say this, I'm actually really shocked how cheap these are selling for mint on card compared to the 1980s Masters of the Universe figures, the 1980s Thundercats figures, and of course the Transformers that we covered last week were minimum almost 4 figures. We're going to head over and talk about one of the most beloved toy lines and of course movies that have ever existed, the Star Wars franchise. And here we have a Star Wars Return of the Jedi Wicket W. Warwick mint on card from 1984, a 79-back from of course Kenner. This is an unpunched card. If you guys don't know what that means, this means the card, the hang tab on it has not been pulled. All right, it's still there. You can still see it on the card unpunched. This figure sold on April 28th of this year for $232 on 52 bids. Now, again, I was at Zap Comics the other day and it got me really interested in seeing what these were going for right now. So we're going to check out Action Figure 411 and we're going to go to the most recent data. April of this year, we had a $243 sale just this month. We have to go to the next highest sale, which was December of 2023 for $288. The high sale over the past couple of years was $322 back in February of 2023. This is pretty mind-boggling to me how cheap these are, mint on card, considering how popular the Star Wars franchise is. People go nuts for this stuff. The toys, the comics, the movies, the shows on Disney Plus. People go apeshit. So I'm surprised to see this card being in such great shape going for such a cheap price. Up next, we have a Star Wars 1982 vintage Kenner 47 back Han Solo mint on card, graded by AFA at a 75. Now, I looked all over for the Action Figure 411 data for this figure. I could absolutely not find it recorded by them. They had a Han Solo figure that was a regular Star Wars, the first release, but I could not find the Empire Strikes Back version. Regardless, guys, this one sold on April 28th of this year for $404 on 22 bids at auction. Again, not a bad price. I'm not sure if this was a giveaway or something maybe you had to mail away from, but I'm shocked that they didn't have this listed on Action Figure 411. Again, a decent grade from AFA. I think a lot of the big collectors like to stick to AFA 80 and higher, but I think beggars can't be choosers when it comes to these vintage toys mint on card or mint in box. Now let's talk about one of the most iconic characters ever in film, toys, collectibles, you name it. Of course, we're talking about Yoda. And here we have a Star Wars 1980 vintage Kenner 32 back Yoda mint on card, AFA graded 70 plus. Now this card, you guys, you can see has a little bit of damage, especially on the top left hand corner of the card, but nonetheless sold on April 28th for $532 on 32 bids. To me, not a bad price for vintage toys from 1980. We're going to check out Action Figure 411 and see that the last sale just occurred this month for only $384. Just last month, $716. We have to go all the way back to August of 2023 to get a super high sale of $1,385. Before that, April of 2022, $1,206. So to me, condition has to be everything. So maybe it was a super high grade AFA graded action figure. We can't be sure. Regardless, $530 for a little bit of damage. I will take it from something from 1980. And now we're going to end our Star Wars portion of this video with probably one of the most sought after vintage Kenner Star Wars figures out there. It is a 1978 vintage Kenner 12-back Stormtrooper mint on card, Action Figure Authority graded 80. It was just sold again on that magic date of April 28th, 2024. I'm assuming the same person bought all of these for $2,062.87 on 43 bids. Now, I got to tell you, this thing is awesome. I had most of these growing up as a kid. Of course, I also had the Millennium Falcon, which today might be the grail of all Star Wars figures that came out in the 1970s and 80s. Regardless, we have to see what Action Figure 411 says about this. The last sale before this one was only for a $700 sale just this month. Back in March of 2024, $1,196. In June of 2023, we had a $2,038 sale, which is crazy. It must have been super high grade. We have to go all the way back to January of 2022 to get another $2,000 sale of $2,137. But believe it or not, way back in March of 2021, when all the collectible craziness was going on, we had a $3,900 sale. Man, I would love to have seen what that card looked like, what the figure looked like, what the bubble looked like, because it all affects what the value of these things are going for. I would love to hear your comments down below. Would you pay these prices for these figures? I gotta imagine if you're a big Star Wars fan, you definitely would. We're going to start with Templeton Peck. If you guys don't remember him, they called him Face back on the TV show. And this is a 1984 vintage Galoob 18 Templeton Peck face figure, sealed, mint on card, and they are super rare. I can vouch for that. You only see a couple of these listed on eBay all the time. The ones that are on there right now that haven't sold are upwards of almost $400 mint on card. This one sold for $71 on 16 bids at auction. There is a little bit of scuffing on the top portion of the card. It is punched. Not only that, the bubble has definitely yellowed, but I gotta tell you, I would have jumped at the chance to buy this for under $100. That's just mind-boggling to me. Let's go check the next one. Here we have a vintage A-Team 1983 Howling Mad Murdoch from Galoob, new mint unsealed card. That's what MOSC stands for, guys, and it only sold for $58.65 on 11 bids. That is freaking crazy. Yes, I could see that the card is a little bent there at the top. We have the classic Toys R Us sticker to boot, which I absolutely love. My Lionel, the Thundercats I have, mint on card, also has it, and I am so happy that it does. Either way, again, I'm shocked that this one only sold for $60. This is mind-boggling. I had the whole set. I had Face, I had Hannibal, Mr. T, of course, and Howling Man Murdoch, and then I also had the van. One of my favorite shows growing up as a kid. I remember sitting down on my couch watching it with my father all the time. So it does not get better than this for vintage TV shows and classic toys from the 1980s. What a blast from the past with these carded vintage action figures from TMNT all the way to the A-Team. I absolutely love it. Of course, you guys know I'm a big Motu, Transformers, and Thundercats fan, but I also remember some of these vintage toys which I had when I was a kid. Do me a favor, if you like this set of videos, drop me comments down below. I'd love to hear what you want me to look at next, right? I have a few things in my mind, what I'm going to be looking for, but other than that, I can't believe how cheap some of these really are. We talk about comics here a lot on the channel, and we see where they have gone, how expensive they are. These mint on card toys are pretty cheap compared to some of those comics, I must say, and we get that same blast of nostalgia collecting them just as we do collecting comics. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles saying thank you for watching, and I will talk to you guys soon.